Hello everybody, video here for you today. These are the retro no-cap recaps of the Curse of Oak Island Season 3, Episodes 7 through 9. Originally aired in December 2015 and January 2016. If you missed my recaps of previous episodes, there's a link in the upper right. Let's get into it. Do. Previously, on the Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 228 years. Episode 7 starts with a meeting after Rick and Marty have already asked Fred Nolan to work with them. They talked to Dan Blankenship about it beforehand, and he said that solving the mystery is the most important thing to him. Rick has had several meetings with Fred throughout the years, and the latter would never share his theory, until now. Fred thinks that British soldiers hid treasure from the colonies on Oak Island. Before the Revolutionary War, King George ordered his generals to fill 4 ships with treasure and take them from Boston to Halifax, Nova Scotia, which was the 14th colony, and it did not revolt against England like the other 13. Not all of that treasure made it to England. Fred thinks that a group of British soldiers acted on their own to hide some of it on Oak Island. A surveyor by trade, he already has maps with dig targets on them. 3 days later, Fred, Rick, and members of the team meet in the war room where Fred begins to share his maps and previously closely guarded information. He has chosen as the first target a spot on his property that is near the middle of the island, where he previously discovered a void or cavern 10 feet underground. The rig drills down to 10 feet and hits something metal. In 1897, below the vault at 153 feet, he discovered M.R. Chapel hit impenetrable metal at 171 feet, something he thought was for protection of the treasure vault. Several more attempts to confirm both happened over the next 2 years, but flooding foiled all of those. Back at the Nolan site, a small high-def camera is put into the hole, and the driller confirms that the obstruction is metal. Marty asks him to run casing into the hole, which would go through or move the metal to the side, and allows them to continue. They go to 30 feet without hitting a cavity. The team decides to dig anyway, since it's just 10 feet or so, and know for sure what is there. They find no cavern, nor did they find any sign of the metal that was previously obstructing the drill bit, but they do find this piece of cut wood, which they suspect is a marking post of some type. David McDonald, the author of the January 1965 Reader's Digest article that inspired Rick and Marty as well as Dan Blankenship, visits Oak Island for the first time since 1964. I found out about Oak Island from a reprinting of that article in the mid to late 70s at my grandmother's house. There's a link to my YouTube read-along version of it in the upper right. The article pictured is on the wall in the Oak Island War Room. The team, along with Dan Blankenship, gathers in the war room to meet David. They later bury a time capsule made from a drill casing, marking the 50th anniversary of the article near the memorial stone. Dave puts in a copy of the article. In episode 8, the team begins their second drill operation on Fred Nolan's property. It's a little north of the swamp and is a rocked up old well. The 5th core sample contains 2 small non-matching pieces and nothing else, which would be indicative of a 5-foot deep void at about the 106-foot level. Jack, Alex, and Charles visit the Bedford Institute of Oceanography in Halifax to look at a map that shows artifacts that Fred Nolan has seen, including a timbered wall that would lend credence to the idea of the swamp being the product of human intervention. They are shown a map of the ocean surface that has 3 equidistant slanted lines away from the southern shore of the Elephant Head. The fact that they are not parallel to the shoreline means they are man-made. This spot further south of the island would typically be a shipwreck, according to the expert. Charles Barkhouse says there is supposed to be a shipwreck 2,000 feet off of the coast. These 2,000-foot-long lines in deeper ocean could be a mooring field where ships would drop anchor. The expert also says that the South Shore would have extended out further 300 to 400 years ago due to the higher ocean level now. Alex, Jack, and Craig, along with sonar experts and divers, including Tony Sampson, explore those areas. They go past the so-called borderless beach, the only significant stretch of coastline to have no large boulders on it, also lending to the idea of it being a man-made coastline. The narrator wonders if it's to conceal another set of box drains like the one in Smith Cove. Rick tries to find the wooden wall that Fred discovered at the base of the swamp, but can't. It's possible it is lower than the 6 feet the permit allows him to dig. Back in the water, the team sees a triangle on top of another triangle, and it's pointing directly towards where the stone triangle used to be. Later, Craig says he thinks it's a little too deep to have been on dry land, but with erosion factored in, it's a possibility. Illustrated here, the stone triangle was destroyed along with much of the money pit area by Robert Dunfield's 1966 excavation. It pointed on a true north line directly at the original money pit location. In episode 9, the Laginas have found another diver to get to the bottom of Borehole X. Harvey Marash is a certified deep wreck diver with 20 years experience in confined environments. Dan Blankenship was able to fit into the 27-inch lower shaft, but Harvey will be wearing 2 air tanks. He does a test dive replicating the environment in 20 feet of water and is able to fit with his normal equipment. Rick and Dave are able to find the exact location of a drill bar that Dan lost down 10x years ago. It is 204 feet down, 23 feet into the 27-inch section. Meanwhile, the team will dive on the triangle on triangle detected via sonar on the previous episode, as well as other targets. The marine archaeologist dives first. He finds this triangle-shaped rock. After he returns to the boat, Marty, Alex, and Tony go to get a look at it themselves. Tony stays in the water longer, following the true north line, and finds a bigger triangle-shaped rock 20 meters north of the smaller one. It's possible that with the sea level rising and erosion, that the bigger one was on land originally. Another theorist visits and says it's too much work and secrecy to be just about treasure and instead about the Ark of the Covenant. He also subscribes to the Henry Sinclair theory, but that he was just a scout, and believe relative Christopher Columbus actually transported the Ark to North America. Then Queen Isabella's Portuguese accountant and the Rio brothers disappeared for a while, taking the Ark to Oak Island and hiding it. Rick says they will research the theory. The episode ends with Harvey disappearing under the water level in borehole 10X. While waiting for the season 11 premiere of The Curse of Oak Island on November 7th, I'll continue recapping seasons 1 through 8, most likely multiple episodes per video. Upcoming streams, Ramsey Coach with Coach Steve Money most Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. The Ramsey Show After Show Thursday, October 26th, right after the Ramsey Show video on YouTube ends at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 Central Time. Once again, I'm Coach Steve Money, and I'm a Ramsey Solutions certified financial coach. And if you've got money problems or you just want to make sure you're on the right track, you can schedule a free financial coaching consultation/assessment with me at calendly.com/coachstevemoney. You can email me about coaching or anything else on my YouTube channel, coachstevemoney@gmail.com. Channel donations, you can go to paypal.me/coachstevemoney. You can add me on the gram at coachstevemoney, of course. This channel is youtube.com/coachstevemoney. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, watching. Thank you so very much.